Hey, this is Roz, and you're about to watch a video on pixel art. Create a new layer and double click it, call this ground solid. So again, I'm toggling this just to kind of get an idea, but the difference that I'm going to try to do here is this: the solid ground is mostly going to be white. So you'll see I'm going to go much bolder with the white here. So kind of again, I'll leave that top edge black, but I'll start with the white over here. Just draw a long line. And perhaps on this one, maybe I don't want to go all the way, so I'm gonna draw another line here. Undo that. Draw another line here and kind of cut the edges, because I don't want this to reach all the way to the edges, because when I put them by themselves, I want them to be self-sustaining, but then I'm also gonna figure out the strategy for when I combine them, and they'll tile. So then I'm gonna have to go on the side and kind of color it in, if that makes sense. But I'll get to that. I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. So I'm gonna add just kind of what I think the structure for this should look like. So maybe a thicker brick here, something like that. And again, kind of they look very symmetrical right now, but I'm gonna start breaking that symmetry in a second. And you see, like, I kind of have a plan, but kind of also don't have a plan. Like I said, I have some images of some brick that I'm looking at from different games, but I'm not entirely convinced of what I'll do with this. And that's kind of part of the process, figuring out what shapes look interesting. Alright, and I'm gonna fill these in. Actually, it doesn't do exactly what I want. It kind of fills in the edges here, so I'm just gonna drag a marquee selection here, and then fill that in, and then drag another marquee selection here, and fill that in too. Alright, so see, there's already a contrast between that piece and this piece. This doesn't look like a cement block yet, but I'm gonna start adding some things that will make it look more like a cement block. And actually, to keep things simple, I showcased how to erase stuff earlier. Slightly changed my mind, so I'm gonna go back to this layer, add a new layer, and teach you another technique in the process. Add a new layer underneath it. Make that completely black. You can't notice the difference right now. But then select the top one, shift select the bottom one, and then right click on the top one and merge layers. And that's actually going to merge, everything. If I toggle this out, everything including that black layer in the back and this. I want to do this because I want to simplify it. I don't want to introduce transparency and complications like that in the process right now. So it's just going to be black and white opaque images for now. And then kind of similarly on this, I know it looks weird right now, I'm gonna add an image underneath it, or layer underneath it, make that black, and shift select both of them, right click on the top one, merge layers. Alright, so now the reason why I did that is because now I want to be able to like paint with black on top of this and make it easier as opposed to having to erase. So I'm gonna alt click, that just lets me select the color. And somewhere around 2/3 or something, again I kind of like the 2/3, start making like a little gap in the material, and then maybe take white, and see it's already kind of starting to look like a Mario style brick. Maybe add an edge there and get that black again, draw a line through maybe like almost right through the middle here, not quite, just slightly offset, remove these corners, makes it look more interesting. Add a dot here and a dot here. See, like it kind of looks like all these bricks have a little bevel to them. Just eat a little bit in there. Okay, that looks interesting. Same thing, kind of making sure this is not parallel or is not on top of each other. I'll make it parallel but slightly to the side here. Kind of remove these corners here as well, and maybe add a little pixel in between them. And by the way, I'm Alt middle mouse button or wheel button scrolling so that I can zoom out and zoom in and kind of take a look at like what the shape looks like from a distance. Because keep in mind, I'm really zoomed in when I'm working right now, but in the game it's about this big, right? And there's like 50 of them in a row. And we'll fix the tiling and the repetition later, but for now I just want to build the core basic block. And let's see, if I add something like this there, see, that kind of looks boring because it doesn't have that edge, but maybe if I just remove it here. Nope, I need to remove it here too. What if I go bolder and go like that? That doesn't look interesting. See, so I kind of test out different ideas. This is come back to what I had initially, but... And, you know, honestly, it's kind of in a good spot. I wonder if I can make this whole piece. So I'm gonna drag a marquee selection, and again, kind of showing you different techniques. If I can make these pieces slightly equaler, slightly more equal in size, so I just drag that up, and I'm gonna fill these pieces in here with white. So I could have just done a paint bucket, but I also can manually paint it. Oh yeah, so I kind of like this more, that this one's a thin piece that is very similar to this, and then this thicker piece is, again, it's kind of the same dimensions as this. Maybe it's slightly bigger. Let's compare. Oh, it's about the same. And then the one underneath it is pretty chunky as well. But again, see the stark contrast again from like kind of this distance. The stark contrast between the ground breakable, this one, and the ground solid. So, you know, this one gives the player the clear impression that they can step on it and it's safe, while this one looks like, you know, it may fall apart, which we can reinforce with, you know, some particle effects or some animation or something that kind of suggests that, you know, when you step on this, it's going to start crumbling. Maybe has a few seconds or something. Cool. So next, I'm gonna change up the strategy a little bit. So show you a new technique. I'm gonna save because I haven't saved in a while. So if I click Control S or go to File, Save, it's gonna show me this menu, and I'm gonna check this box on, and I will save the file on top of, you know, whatever I had saved before. What I want to do next is create some spikes on top here, but as you can see, I can't just draw here, so I'm gonna expand the canvas. So basically right now I'm working on a 25 by 25 grid. I can make the spikes on the same dimensions, and actually I'll probably do that first and then reposition them just to kind of show you how that would work. But I want to always have my reference canvas as 25 by 25 because I'll be able to reposition these in Unity and use them however I want. But all my source art is like these dimensions just because it makes it easier for me to make things at scale. So I'm going to check both of these off and create a new layer and call these spikes. And these will sit on top of this. They'll only sit on top of the ones that don't crumble, because otherwise what's the point? You're gonna die anyway when you step on the spikes, so it doesn't matter if the ground underneath them crumbles. And they'll also be, in Photoshop at least, I'll make them completely white, but because I'm using this black and white shape, I can then recolor them in Unity if I choose to. It will require me to export these without that black layer so that it's actually transparent, but I have no intention to recolor them right now, so I'm not too worried about it. Hey, if you enjoyed the content, leave a message below, like, and subscribe.